Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Broaden the scope of exposure for your business by going beyond the interview. Learn more at www.jmmbmediallc.com or email us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Clarissa Law is an author, life coach, certified workshop facilitator, public speaker. She is the CEO of Purpose by Design Coaching and Consulting, LLC, providing one-on-one coaching, group coaching, public speaking, and various workshops. She's also the founder of Lifelines to Success, a 501c3 nonprofit organization where she provides enrichment programs and services to the community. Clarissa is also the founder of Let's Talk Women's Life Empowerment Group for women over 30. This group gives women who have been everything to everyone else and nothing to themselves the opportunity to focus on their dreams, ideas, and passions. And in October 2020, she published her first book, Purpose by Design Journal of Prayers and Affirmations, 52 Weeks of Speaking Life Through God's Word. Welcome, Clarissa.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome, my dear. Wow. Aren't you busy?
There's another book, but yes, there's another book.
Yes. I mean,
Amazon bestseller.
Oh, tell us about that one.
It's called Words of Wisdom for the Heart and Soul. And it's 36 women of influence giving you just wisdom, lessons, insights. So it's an anthology. Okay. And my chapter is called You Always Win.
Tell us about that.
So my favorite scripture in the Bible is Romans 8:28, which says all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So if the word says all things work together for my good, that means I can't lose. So my life's motto is I always win. So either I learn, I'm going to learn something in the process. So that's why I don't regret anything. If I look at everything as a lesson learned, then I'm not losing, right?
That's true.
So I always win.
That's right. Wow. That is amazing. So your women's organization, tell us a little bit about that.
So I started Let's Talk in 2017, just at the local library, calling women. Let's talk about it. And I give specific topics. We've talked about self-care. We've talked about just various things, and women will come in. It was free to the community at the library, and women would come in, and it was just really a safe place for them to share. I'm a tangible coach, like I'm a put you to action kind of coach. So I would give them worksheets. They needed to do them. They needed to process them. I've done vision boards with them. So challenging them to do something more. And for those 2 hours, I said, no children. Let's just be you. This is about you. This is about your dreams. This is about your visions. Because so many times as women, we get these great ideas, but we put it on the back burner because I have to be mommy, I have to be wife, I have to be employee, I have to be caretaker to whomever. And so we don't get to be who we truly are, right? We don't get to be who we were supposed to be. Like we are not who God created. Like we came into this world who we were supposed to be, but everything else around us chips away at that, and we become what everybody else wants us to be. So my slogan for my coaching is helping you discover who you've always been.
Yeah.
Because we are there. We've been there all along, but everything else in life has chipped away at it, covered it up, dismissed it, made us forget who we are. And so that was the purpose of the group.
Yes.
I think this is an amazing start to the conversation because that seems to be the forefront of those who are really spiritually inclined, are trying to teach other people, you are not who you think you are or who you have become. You've actually lost your original self.
Yes.
You're right. Everything has chipped away at schools, parents unintentionally, because they tell us who we are supposed to be when we're a
Mm-hmm.
child.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mother said, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where some of that rebellion comes as a child. You
Mm-hmm.
begin to rebel because it's like, wait a minute, this is not me. But you
Right.
learn to be quiet.
Right.
You learn to shut it down so that you don't have that conflict, because you need this person. There's the need for attachment. And
Mm-hmm.
so learn that attachment is more important than authenticity. I just love the start of this conversation, Clarissa. Keep going. You're on a
I'll just
roll.
add to that. I grew up in a household where, in that generation, where if you even moved your mouth, like you was talking about,
Absolutely.
if
Yes,
you just say, but
indeed.
you getting backhand smacked with the rings
Absolutely.
and things like that, and so that silences us. And I think you made a very good point, because I was aware of that. I acknowledge and I can see how that traveled through my life. Like, I would change my opinion. If I say my opinion and somebody else says something else, I would go with their opinion. I found myself in relationships compromising to please the other person, because
Absolutely.
that was what my life looked like with my mother. However, because I was aware of that, I was conscious of that with raising my two sons. So I had a son who, my youngest son, is argumentative, debative, like, well, why that? And but no, and that. And I can remember myself saying, God, my child is this way for a reason. Please help me be the parent that he needs me to be, because I didn't want to silence that voice, right? I used to have family meetings where I would tell my children, you have a right to your opinion. I am the adult and I make the decision that's best for the family, but you have a right to your opinion. And so things changed because my children gave their opinion, right? So my hope was that carried them into their lives, and they were not afraid to speak up. And they're 31 and 38. They're not afraid to speak up.
All righty now, you.
Fabulous.
Whereas myself, for a long time, I was very afraid. When we talk about who are we, I was a mother at 15. So I was a mother before I knew who I was, right? So I had to figure out who I was. I had to discover who I've always been, right? And that took a very long process. I might have been in my 40s trying to figure me out, right? And that's still sometimes a struggle where I have to remind myself that I'm enough. I'm more than this, right? I'm made in the image of God, and I'm great. There's greatness in me and things like that. So it definitely is a challenge. And we talk about who the people we're trying to please, the mother, the father, those people who raised us, we're trying to please them. And so we become what they need us to be, and they don't understand how that forms the trajectory of our lives.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. And it's so funny you talked about that pleasing thing. And, it takes a while to uncover all of that. It's like an onion, and you've got to peel each piece of the skin back.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, 10 years, 20 years have gone by, and you still peeling.
that's in
Yeah.
fact that onion that you started with and you thought it was going to be such a quick thing. Oh, it's just this little onion. The longer you work at it, the bigger the onion grows.
Yes.
It just
Yes.
becomes mammoth. And you're like,
Yes.
how did I? And I think the question is, how did I live with all this for
Mm-hmm.
so long and not know that
Yes.
something was really not right? Something had to be done about it. Yeah, this is a good conversation because we are living in a world of where people are engaged in conflict continuously.
Mm-hmm.
They're in conflict with other people, other countries, and most importantly, which is what you bring to focus, we're in conflict with ourselves because
Yes.
we're constantly arguing, you know, no, it's like, no, I can't do that. I can't be that. That's not who I am. Oh my gosh, what will everybody else think if I
Mm-hmm.
really stop and be myself?
Yeah.
And sometimes we think that the worst of us is who we are, not recognizing the fact that the worst of who we are is really a response to being shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So I so I'll add I every time I do a women's group, I ask women to introduce yourself, with an adjective that starts with the first letter of your name, a positive adjective. Because a lot of times we don't hear ourselves say anything positive about ourselves, right? So I would say, give yourself this positive adjective and say it in your name. So, I don't know, intelligent Ida, right? So I would say radiant Ruth or something like that. And so they'd be like, okay, it is an adjective that starts with the letter of my name, but I don't really believe that about myself. And I'm like, say it until you believe it. So I was in a women's group one time and I went around the group and I did this activity. And before I can do myself, they gave me the name Confident Clarissa. So I said, this must be what I need. I don't even say it must be, it is what I needed, because that was my challenge. You're not good enough. Be quiet. Don't do that. It's not, they're not going to listen to you. It's not enough. But when I traced it back, it came from my childhood. And as we talked about, trauma. So that is the thing that I remind myself when I do feel like, let me back up. No, you are confident, Clarissa. You better stand up in what you know. It definitely helps me.
Yes. And you
to
have
remind
to say nice
myself
self.
of who I am.
Yes.
Yes.
And like you said, it's very difficult for us to say nice things about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're so used to saying negative things.
You can run on 5 things. Give me 5 things you like about yourself. Crickets. Give me 5 things that you don't like about yourself that you want to change. And I kind of can still see, I still struggle with that sometimes. And I just say, you know what, Clarissa, this is just who you are. I lost some weight. I was proud of myself for my discipline. I've gained some weight back, COVID, whatever the reason. And I say, you know what? This is just who you are. You were beautiful when you were that side. This is just who you are. You're okay just the way you are.
Yes, yes. And to be able to say that is so freeing.
Mm-hmm. But that took a process.
Girl,
I went through a whole healing journey. I was by myself for a long time, no relationship, just getting to know Clarissa. Just we went on dates together. We spent time alone together. We read, we felt, we did things that empowered us, like me. And then I was like, okay, I have discovered who I've always been. Now I can go forth and things don't bother me. I'm not bothered by things. I'm not hurt by things. That's why I love the title of your podcast, Just Minding My Business. Because people used to say to me, I promise you, before I even met you, people used to say, Clarissa, I ain't seen you in a while. You looking good, what you doing? I said, minding my business. Because I have enough of my own business. I don't need to be concerned about your business. I have enough of my own business. So I literally would say, just mind my business. And then I have a saying, you need to get you some business and get out of mine. Really, like if you really think about it, take care of yourself, right? The reason why you in somebody else's business because you're not happy with your own.
There you go.
There you go.
You know, so I'm happy with my business, and
you go find your own. And
get you some business.
Get yourself some business. When you take care of your business, it actually frees other people up to take care of theirs.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
They can't. You've already put up a wall, a boundary, and said, "No, you're not coming over here. Go back over there and do whatever you need to do." So it's like you stonewall them, and they're like, maybe she's right. I've got so much time to be in her business because I don't have anything to do.
Right.
So it's just that's a excellent. That's a slogan.
So I nipped that in the bud. I nipped that in the bud by charging a consultation fee. I learned to value my time and not just give of everything I have. And so then the next time they needed me, I said, "Yep, here's my link. You can go ahead and pay the consultation fee." I ain't heard from them since. Who mad? I'm not mad.
You know what? You hit on something that's so important, and you mentioned the word time.
Yeah.
Time is the most valuable asset that we have. Once it's gone, we can never get it back.
Get it back. And I've learned that recently.
Yes, people think
within the last 2 years.
Okay, tell us about it.
So I love sharing with people. I love empowering people. I love giving people information. I have this thing like, if I got it, I want somebody else to have this information. I have seen at least 2 situations that I was in that I talked too much. And I was giving them a lot of information. And they could have paid me for that I gave them. And I've learned it's really difficult when you're passionate about something to hold back. It's really difficult. So you gotta watch your time. Even when I do a consultation, it's supposed to be 30 minutes, I think. It's still is longer because I want to hear what people have to say. I want them to know they're being heard, and I want to provide for them what they need in that moment. But I've learned to cut it off and say, it sounds like to me that you can benefit from.
Right.
Right. And if they're interested, they will. If they're interested, they will. So I've learned to value my time in that way. I enjoy time to myself. I don't take that lightly. I don't waste other people's time because, like you said, we cannot get it back. Enjoy those precious moments with people. Don't hold any grudges. Like I tell my children, I don't want to hold grudges. I didn't have a good relationship with my mother in years past, and that's time we could have had, right? And I don't want to do that with my children. Let's go. I can handle whatever you can give me, because we're not going to be a family that we don't speak to each other for years over something that was
right,
actually unimportant.
Right. Very, very unimportant.
Exactly. Yeah. And probably as time goes on, you forgot what the hell it was about.
And so now you have lost how many birthdays, holidays, children growing up, special moments in those loved ones' lives because you got mad 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's living in the past. And we're supposed to be moving forward.
Yep.
At all times.
Or just living in the present.
Yeah.
The present is, what do they say? The present is, what is it? Time is a gift. That's why we call it the present.
Right.
Yeah. And so many.
The time is the past because it's past.
Right.
Yeah. We are learning, Clarissa, and you're part of that movement to live, to think, and then live differently. Think, act, and live differently than previous generations. This is a whole new, if you want to call it vibration or frequency, we're starting to live. And you find more people getting pulled towards that. They don't want to live in constant conflict with their families. They're making changes in the people that they surround themselves with. Even after the pandemic, which we've talked about often on this show, we found people quietly quitting their jobs because they didn't want to be part of that old frequency that they actually walked back into during the pandemic. And then you have all those people who were just massively quitting their jobs during and after the height of the pandemic. Why? Because they felt that need to move to someplace greater. And you're in the forefront of doing that. You're just teaching people, yeah, that's right. You don't have to live like that. You can leave it behind. You can find a new path. And I think this is so critical because you see a world in which that's all we see is chaos and conflict. And I want you to answer this. How do you see the work that you're doing helping you to cut through this world of chaos and conflict?
So just like the words you use, individual, right? If I can help one person to think differently, like this is literally my end of life statement. When I get old and I, can't do what I do anymore and I'm sitting on a rocking chair with my iced tea, I want to know that I've taught somebody to do something different, right? That I can teach you, like, yes, you've been doing it this way, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just what you know. But you can do it this way. You can try it this way. You can adjust. You don't have to continue the generational patterns of your past. If you want something different, you have to do something different. So, and I just want to make a point about what you said about the pandemic. I truly believe that was one of those moments that God had to interrupt people because they wouldn't have done it on their own.
Right. I agree.
I saw so many African American women start their own business right here in Richmond, Virginia after COVID. Whereas before it was retail jobs, it was, these little things. But I believe that sometimes we're not going to move. And so sometimes a shift has to happen for us to move. Yes, it looks chaotic. Yes, it looks messy. Yes, it looks scary. But when it all settled down, it's going to work for your good.
Yes.
So I truly believe that.
100%.
But it definitely is. I also have a saying, one person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, and one generation at a time.
So if people want to work with you, how do they do so?
So my website is clarissalawcoaching.com. My Instagram is clarissalawcoaching.com. And my Facebook is Purpose by Design Coaching, LLC.
Yeah.
And my email is Clarissa Law Coaching, it's info@Clarissa Law Coaching.
Okay. Okay. What a blessing you are to be able to help people. I think as women, I think we flow better together. I think when we come together, it is always synergy, especially when it's a like-minded environment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
We have a
And so,
different type of energy. Women have a
yes, we
different
do.
energy. And it's usually when it really comes together, it's usually at some level, even it can be about business, but it's always about healing.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yes.
always that, I guess, mothering, healing, nurturing. That's the word I'm looking for.
Nurturing, incubator,
Yes,
Yes.
that's what who we
birther.
are.
Yes, yes. But I'll add to that. I'll tell you, so some years ago, I would always hear women don't get along. Women don't get along. They so catty. They so this, they so that. And I was like, I'm gonna change that. And I started getting out, going to different events. I have a saying, I'm everybody's friend. Like I go to places by myself and make new friends because I'm gonna sit at a table. I don't know anyone. I'm gonna sit down. Hi, my name is Clarissa. What's your name? What you
Right.
do? I'm gonna have a conversation. But I have found, and I'm grateful that I didn't stay in those thoughts of other people because I've gone to so many women's empowering events. And like you said, like-minded people, it's an energy there, right? So the key
Yes.
is choosing your circle. If you're choosing the wrong circle, that's what you're gonna get.
Right.
Right? If you're choosing that circle that's always about drama, talking about the next person, then you're not gonna get along because if you're talking about somebody else to me, you're gonna talk about me to somebody else. So how about we talk about, girl, let's get this book written.
Right.
How about we talk about how can you help me with my finances and I can help you with your confidence. Those are people I'm around, right? That's building me up, that's lifting me up,
Right.
and I'm doing the same for them. So again, I guess it's my energy that I don't even attract those kind of people.
Yes. Thank God. I am so happy I don't. Elevation. Because if we're not elevating one another, then what's the point?
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
she said it. They were those little, what they used to call hen parties, and
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of cackling hens in those
Mm-hmm.
parties. They didn't
Yeah,
do anything for anyone. So
yeah,
now, again, there has been a shift. Whether we like to admit it or not, the women's liberation movement made a big difference in the psychology of women globally. And it has just further extended. Now what
Mhm.
we didn't see in the 50s, we see today. We see women who have their own businesses. It's not anything
Mm-hmm.
unusual for a woman to have a business.
Right, right.
And we've actually come back to the point of women having businesses. We keep thinking that this is something new, but originally women had businesses. They had
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
That's the
Yes.
only way we could survive.
yeah.
If you, especially if you look at the African American experience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we did not have a male counterpart to provide for us. Now
Mm-hmm.
let's tell the truth.
Yes.
So we had to learn how to have a business. I don't care if you were scrubbing floors or doing laundry, whatever you were doing for a purpose, and you did
Yes.
it in such a way so
Mm-hmm.
that your family could survive. And
Yes.
so many families would not have survived if African American women didn't have businesses. And we need to sometimes remember those ones. So we have to really recognize that we come from a work.
Woodstock.
Yes,
Yes.
we come from a
Good
work
stuff.
ethic. I don't care
Yeah.
what they may want to call it, how they may want to term it, and all the negativity. There was a lot of negativity. But bottom line, we learned to survive because we had businesses.
Mm.
I always think that in the past, if we hadn't known who we were, we three would not be sitting here today.
Right. Right. At some point, we had to discover ourselves in
Right.
order to be sitting here. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And when you talk about the business, the women back in the day, they had businesses. It wasn't an LLC, it wasn't registered with anybody, but it was a business. And so that's the same as what I'm doing with the women that I coach. It's called, my business is Purpose by Design. So we are all uniquely designed for our purpose, right? So I teach women, what is it that if you don't know what your purpose is, what is it that you enjoy doing that you can do forever? And let's find a way to monetize it, right? Like if you do hair, girl, do some hair. My granddaughter is 14. We making a business. She gonna make some beads and sell them. We ain't giving them away. She does hair really well. She draws really well. We're working on a book, a children's book. My point is, I want her to understand the power that's in her. I want her to understand that your gifts and talents are for a reason, and you can monetize this.
Yeah.
And so that means you can have fun in your work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're supposed to. That's when we talk about God, that's one of the things that he gave us. He said that your gifts, your talents will
make room for you.
The higher people. It's your gifts and talents that he gave you to use. And most of us are multi-talented. We just don't even recognize it.
Very. Or we walking around in fear.
Yes.
Because we're worried about the wrong things.
Yes. Yes.
So Clarissa, you the bomb.com girl.
Honey. I'll say this too about women. We don't talk about ourselves enough. So I'm listening to me and you guys talking about me. I was like, girl, you got it going on. We don't do that enough either, right? We just going. Even as entrepreneurs, we're just going, we're just doing. Someone shared with me once at a conference, when you ever feeling doubt, write down everything that you've done. Because we don't think about it until someone asks us how much we've done. Like, I'm listening to y'all talk about me like, yes, they talk about you, girl.
Take it all in.
They are talking about you. And it's a boost of confidence, right? It's a boost of confidence.
Yeah, you have to reflect.
Yeah.
You have to look, what's that saying? I'm not where I want to be, but I ain't where I used to be.
I'm not where I used to be.
And we have to think about that. We have grown more than we think we have.
Yes, yes.
But we can only realize that when we reflect back and look back, from where you came from, that, your roots.
Yes.
Where it started.
Yes.
Clarissa, my dear, we're going to have to do this again. This has been fabulous.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do people reach out to you?
So again, I am ClarissaLawCoaching.com. That's my website. Clarissa Law Coaching, my IG, and my email is info@ClarissaLawCoaching.com.
And
and my number is 804-464-7224.
And how do people get the book?
So it's on my website. I also have a affirmation t-shirt line. It's called the Confidence Collection. And I have a couple of my shirts on there. I'm working on some more things in the future to go along with those affirmations. I'm a big believer in you have what you say. Your words have power. And if we're mindful of what we're saying, we will change what we're saying. And if we're not happy with what we see around us, we spoke it.
That is just food for thought. So everybody needs to simmer on that.
Yes.
So Clarissa, thank you so much for gracing our stage. We truly appreciate you. And
thank you for having me.
Definitely looking forward to more collaborations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.